I spent almost naira to restock my groceries for the week for a family of 6 living in Lagos, Nigeria. Let's do a quick grocery haul so that I can show you every single thing I bought and what I plan to use them for in the coming week. It's Saturday here in Lagos. It is extremely hot and I just got back from my Saturday shopping. Let me walk you through everything I got and what I plan to use them for in the coming week, okay? One thing I love to have at home is any form of wrap. So this is what we typically call shawarma bread. I love to pick these up, especially when it's freshly supplied to the supermarket, or I'll typically pick up tortilla wraps, and then these ones, I can make my chicken wraps, beef wraps, shawarma, whatever it is I please. These come in really handy for dinners or lunches and even school lunches on days when I'm not bothered to do so much. I also picked up a tin of milk. I typically go for the Kerrygold instant full cream powdered milk. This is something I used to buy a carton of every single time, but I said, you know what, I want to limit our consumption of noodles because there's so many things about it in the media not being good for you, but I'm all about balance. So on days when I can't be bothered to think of what to make or I'm in a hurry, these ones usually come in handy, and I'll typically load them with lots and lots of like veggies. I have my carrots, my green beans, my cabbage, all sorts of things going here. So I just picked up 9 of those. We are currently out of spaghetti. I just picked up the one from Sainsbury, and yeah, I just got 6 of those. Obviously, these come in for like jollof pasta, stir-fry pasta, spaghetti and meatballs, spaghetti and sauce, spaghetti and anything you want to make, basically. I have my sugar. I don't like buying sugar, but we need it sometimes, so I just buy a little bit of that. So I got this popcorn bag. We never ever buy the microwave popcorn because it's been associated with so many health risks, and I am not about that life, and my daughter is equals to popcorn, so we rather pop it at home and save ourselves the stress. I got some Cadbury hot chocolate for mornings where we are in a hurry. I don't want to drink tea, I don't want to drink coffee, and I just want something hot chocolatey, and my son loves this as well. I also got corn flour. I'm thinking of making some waffles for breakfast tomorrow, so these will come in handy. Okay, so let's take this again. I'm going to reorganize this and then we'll go through it. The clutter is getting to me, okay? Let's do it in 3, 2, 1. That's a lot better. Yeah, so let's carry on. So right here, I've got my sweet potatoes and my Irish potatoes. So for my sweet potatoes, I'll typically make air fried potatoes with egg for the kids. Same thing with the fries, or I might do loaded potatoes. I can use these anyhow I want. All I need to switch is the sauce. So I can decide to do egg or like a vegetable sauce or a pepper-based sauce or whatever it is. And then for the item itself, I can either boil it or I fry it or I air fry it, however way I want, or I can even bake it, right? And right here, I've got my onions. Pretty simple and straightforward thing, or I cannot do anything without having my onions. I also have my garlic here. I use this as my aromatics anytime I want to cook, and it's a good way for me to start my cooking process before I start to add each item in. So for the spaghetti and meatballs, stir-fry spaghetti, jollof spaghetti, asu spaghetti, any spaghetti you want, I have my spaghetti ready. And then here, I've got my Ijebu gari. If you are Nigerian, I'm sure you have Ijebu gari in your house. If you don't have Ijebu gari in your house, I really don't know what to tell you. And then I've got my Indomie. Like I said, I used to buy a carton of noodles before, but I'm trying to cut down on our intake of Indomie. So sometimes when I go to the store, I'll buy 6, 9, 12, depending on how I'm feeling. And once it's used up, it's done. I am not replacing it, yeah? I have my beans, honey beans. I have some brown beans in the freezer, and as usual, I use my honey beans for like my beans porridge or beans and stew, and then the brown beans will go for things like my akara, my moi moi and stuff like that. And we have yellow gari here. I have a ton of soup, so that one is off my list. All I need to do is bring out my soup, boil my water, make my gari, and I'm pretty much good to go. Right here, I've got my lettuce and my spring onions. These are very good for my salads. I can use them as wraps instead of using like the flatbread on days when I'm feeling super healthy, and these obviously come in very handy for garnishes, or if I want to make like a a green creamy sauce that can use as a topping in my salads or whatever. These are very handy. And then right here, I always restock on lemons because we go through lemons like crazy. So if in the morning, if I want to have warm water, I can decide to squeeze some lemon and pop in a slice in there. And then oranges, because don't be disturbing me every time that you're hungry. Go to the kitchen, grab an orange and eat it. Yeah. And again, my house will not be my house if I did not have my carrots. They come in handy for my salads, for my sandwiches, for my sauces and stuff like that. I also have some green beans here every time. This is a must. I must restock. I also have a ton of ginger. Tell me why ginger is so expensive. Who did we offend? But I have that as well. These ones, just like my garlic, they go in as the base for anything I'm cooking before I put in the main ingredients. Yeah. And I also use my ginger for smoothies and juices as well. So I've got a ton of bell peppers here. This is another thing I always restock in my home. I would use them in my stir fries, in my sauces, in my salads, in my sandwiches, in my wraps. Anytime I need my bell peppers, they are always in my fridge and ready to be used. I also have some plantain here. Plantain is an absolute necessity, and I make sure that I don't buy plantain from just anybody, because I've come to find out that with plantain, they typically would put something called carboid. Apparently, it's a chemical that people that repair cars use so that it ripens faster and then we get to consume it. So I'm very particular about who I buy my plantain from. And as usual, for your plantain, you can boil, you can fry, you can air fry, you can mash it, you can use it in your potato porridge, and yeah, that's pretty much it. We also have some fruits here. I always make sure that if pawpaw is in season, I buy my pawpaw. So like things like pawpaw, watermelon, and then pineapple, I always make sure to have on hand. And then I discover that sometimes when I cut into my watermelon and I find that it's not as red or it's not as nice or juicy, I then decide to make watermelon juice. And I don't just like blend the watermelon or juice it up like that. I like to spice it up with things like ginger, lemon, or mint leaves, and oh my god, chef's kiss. Try it and tell me how much you love it. And then for my pineapple, we'll juice that as well for like our wellness shots in the morning and things like that. And then over here, I've got my corn. I love sweet corn. We love sweet corn in this house. And I make sure I buy directly from the farm girl. And the day I buy it, you must eat it. But if I do not eat it, what I do is I just pop it straight into the freezer as is. And I make sure to use within 2 to 3 days. I also have some cabbage and purple cabbage here, along with a cucumber. I've started buying less and less of cucumbers because I find that when I buy too much, I typically do not use it, and we do not want that, do we? I also have some yams here. I like to buy 5 or 10 tubers of yam, store it at home, and I don't bother myself about buying yam for the next 2, 3, or even 4 weeks, yeah, depending on usage. And then I have some apples here and then some grapes here. These always come in handy for snacking at home. Like sometimes when my husband comes back from the office and the food is not yet ready, he just goes straight to where we put the fruit. He grabs one, washes it, and he eats it, and that saves me so much unnecessary stress. And finally, I got this liquid soap. I've told the people in my house that I am not buying any liquid soap again until the next 1 month. I find that when I buy it in 5 liters, 1 is cheaper, and then 2, I don't know, it just makes things easier, and I don't have to think about, oh, every time I'm going to the supermarket, I always need to pick up dishwashing liquid. So this is everything I got during my Saturday run, and I hope this was helpful. I hope I was able to help you out with some meal ideas or give you ideas on what to stock in your house on a weekly basis. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and comment below what are the things you stock up in your house that I don't have in my house, so that maybe I'm missing out on something and I could learn 1 or 2 things from you. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to this channel for more food content, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.